evening. Good to have you with us here on Last Word, and the fifth phase of polling is over. We have two more phases to go. But tonight we've decided to bring out some of the biggest controversies in the run-up to this phase and what happened today. Because the question that we are trying to ask is this the kind of politics? Is this the kind of environment that we as voters deserve in this country, even in 2019? So we're going to split it up into multiple segments. The first one will focus more on Bengal, the kind of violence that we've seen this time around. It will also speak about, the Modi versus Mamta fight and whether it really needs to get so ugly and so petty. And after that, we will move towards Uttar Pradesh and all the drama that's unfolded in Amethi today, and starting with Prime Minister's comment attacking Rajiv Gandhi now twice in a row. Is that really necessary? Smriti Irani's relentless attack. All of that will be covered. But first up, we'll start with some visuals that literally tell you the story of Bengal elections. And this is visual number 1 on your screen right now in Bengal in West Bengal, where crude bombs were hurled today. It's not new. I don't think anybody is going to be surprised about the fact that crude bombs were hurled in an election, during an election in West Bengal. Unfortunately, my problem is, why is this still happening? Visual number 2 that I wanted to show you guys was from Barakpur in West Bengal, where an ugly scuffle took place. And look at that. The candidate as well as his supporters, at one point, one of his supporters actually just lashes out at a woman who is also a candidate's mother, allegedly. So ugly drama unfolding, fist fights and violence unleashing there, and the EC then getting involved. Visual number 3 that we'll bring up for you, it was in Burdwan, where a CPM worker was allegedly killed by the TMC. This is what the left actually tweeted. But yes, one political worker died today. That's how ugly Bengal politics are. We'll move on to the fourth example that I wanted to show you, again in Bengal, where voters alleged that they were intimidated, and at one point things got so ugly that the BJP candidate's car was vandalized by the voters, and the BJP workers allegedly went inside the poll booth and smashed and broke the EVM machine. We're going to get you that report in just 30 seconds from now. But very quickly, the last visual that I wanted to show you, one more from Bengal, and this is in Hooghly in West Bengal, where Locket Chatterjee alleged vote rigging. In fact, this is where the vote machine was smashed. This is that vote machine that was broken. And then Locket Chatterjee's car was vandalized, and there was havoc on the streets. Shreyasi was there, and she captured all of this. Now, my question is, look at this report, viewers, and decide for yourself. Is this how elections should be held in our country in 2019? Why do we still behave in such a manner? Take a look.
Inside this polling booth, this is polling booth number 159. A BJP worker just walked in and he just smashed the EVM machine. This is the broken EVM machine here. It has been broken. We will speak to the presiding officer right now. Central forces were here. This entire booth was rampaged by BJP workers. We saw that EVM being broken. We confronted the person. Presiding officer saying that since morning there was voting that was going on. But just moments after that, when Locket Chatterjee came in here with her supporters, because she was hearing that there was rigging going on, her men walked into the booth. This EVM machine right here was immediately broken by this man who we confronted and we asked, but he refused to say who he was. But this particular man was continuously following the convoy of Locket Chatterjee, just like the media was. But you just saw the condition of the EVM machine. When we confronted the man, he said there was rigging going on. We will confront the BJP candidate as well, Locket Chatterjee, who was here. You can see the kind of tension that is happening over here. You can see how the villagers have all come out in large numbers, and there's complete chaos that's happening. The villagers are under control, and they are protesting because the EVM machines have been broken here, and the villagers are asking everyone to leave. कौन কে ছিল যেটা যিনি ইভিএম ভাঙলেন? বিজেপি নেতা
निर्मल पाल निर्मल पाल बीजेपी नेता निर्मल पाल बीजेपी नेता
So the TMC is now saying that it was the BJP worker who was inside who broke that EVM machine. You can see the kind of tension that's brewing in this area.
You see those women who are walking towards Tracy, just at the end they actually come and all of them also start yelling at our correspondent. There was literally a havoc that unfolded at this specific polling booth in those few minutes. Let's go across to our guests and say good evening to our panelists who are joining us right now. Gopal Agarwal of the BJP, Bacha Sen, senior journalist with us in our studios. Through the day he's been with us with his expertise. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, joining us from our Noida studios, and Somnath Singaroy, TMC supporter, joining us from Kolkata. Mr. Sen, I'm going to start with you. You know, West Bengal, when it comes to politics and political clashes and violence, has the bar really low. But still, I think some amount of disappointment comes from the fact that this is still happening. The people queued up to vote. They spent a huge amount of time standing in a queue. They braved all this violence to come out and vote. And then look what happened. They just came and smashed the machine. Zero respect for law and order.
Yes, Tanvi, alas, that is true. I'm not very proud to be a Bengali yet when I see sites like that in my home state. The point is, it has been going on for a number of years now. It's sort of become endemic to the voting system, to the election system, particularly in the eastern part of the country. At one point of time, Bihar held the record. I mean, in those days, you had paper ballots and you had ballot boxes. You did not have EVMs. So the best thing they would do is either they'd stuff the ballot boxes with fake votes or whatever it is, or they would run off with the ballot box. This was a frequent occurrence, accompanied by large numbers of people, both muscular and armed. And that was the norm as far as, not the norm, but that was a pretty regular occurrence in places like Bihar. It has, of course, been in West Bengal for a long time, long time. Politics has been a politics of violence, whether it's the manner in which the Naxalites behaved in the 60s and 70s, and the manner in which the state eliminated the Naxalites also was equally violent. Then the left came, and there's been a lot of violence, and it, of course, is not acceptable. I don't think it was acceptable in the 70s either, or in the 60s. I do not know when in the 20th century this sort of politics would be acceptable, leave alone the 21st century. But all I can say is it's been, thankfully, a minimal amount of violence. Yes, one person has died, which is shocking. I do not know whether that person died because of election-related violence, that is the CPM contention, or whether there was an enmity between these people of long standing, between the TMC and the CPM. But that was one death, I admit. However, that by other standards of the past is relatively low. It's relatively low. And while crude bombs are being used here, please remember that in places like Jharkhand, and the Red Corridor, plastic explosives were used, far more dangerous than crude bombs. I'm not making a case for West Bengal that, oh, they're only crude bombs and therefore they're gentler. The point remains is this culture of bombs has been going on largely in the eastern part of India, and it's to be condemned.
Gautam Mukherjee, your views on this? Who do we blame? You know, TMC and BJP blame each other, but like Bacha Singh was saying, this is perhaps part of the West Bengal political culture as well.
I think it's communist culture, and was, you know, Mao and his Red Book, which was very popular in the 60s and 70s, said that revolution is not a tea party. These people do not regard an election as a civic duty. They regard it as a revolution. Mamata Banerjee learnt at the feet of various of the CPM rule for 30-odd years. We also had a huge Naxalite movement there where people were being shot left, right and center. It was also very harshly put down by the Congress, which saw the back of them and they never regained power in Bengal. Now, Mamata Banerjee was put in hospital herself several times under the Jyoti Basu administration. She learnt very well, and this kind of absolute let us say, anarchism is par, as my colleague just said, in all of east of India. And I think the competition is between crude bombs in Bengal and grenades in Anantnag, so it's sort of, or IEDs. This is the way it is, and the only way to crush it is to do it with military means. There's no other way. You're not going to persuade these people. They think this is legitimate political activity. The other thing I'd just like to point out is that the TMC is on extremely shaky ground. It was said that the south of Bengal is meant to be their bastion. But let's just take today's 6 constituencies. Now, they are in trouble in 5 of them. You didn't hear of any bomb blast or violence in Arambagh. Arambagh has a habit of electing whoever's in power. They did it faithfully with the communists, and now apparently they're doing it faithfully with TMC, no problem there. In each of the others, whether it's Bongao, Barakpur, Howrah, Shirampur, Hooghly, you've got this kind of violence because they are not okay in any of these. They're not on firm footing. Then you've got the usual problems of anti-incumbency, lack of development, no jobs, promises not kept, that any 10 years faces.
Okay.
And they are facing a very determined onslaught from the BJP, which is likely to win 33% of the votes, take at least 10 seats in Bengal, and stake a claim to be the main opposition at a minimum.
Okay.
by the time the assemblies come around.
Okay.
It's
I take your point,
it's a
and I will
fight
take
for
it across.
survival.
Yes, fight for survival for the TMC. BJP seems to be gaining a little in Bengal now, significantly. In fact, if you will see from their, the kind of record they've had in West Bengal. But I do want to just point out that I disagree with you and even Mr. Badshah Sen on one small point, that I don't think we should be comparing this to the violence that we see in the Red Corridor or even the violence that we see in Kashmir, because in some of those cases, it's largely against the establishment. The anger of the people who are doing this, terrorists, militants, locals who are supporting them, they're angry against the establishment. What we are seeing in West Bengal repeatedly is political workers, part of political parties who are very much part of the mainstream politics, national and regional, big party. Those are the people who are resorting to this, which is why I think it's a bigger problem and must be separated from everything else that's happening in our country right now. But I'm going to go across to BJP and ask Mr. Gopal Agarwal that if you think that you're going to do well and that Mamata Banerjee is on a sticky wicket, Mr. Agarwal, then why were your men smashing EVM machines today in West Bengal?
We denounce any kind of violence, whether it is done by our worker or anybody from the TMC or Congress. That is not advisable. What I want to tell you is what is happening in Bengal. It's a typical case and very important. It has to be differentiated from other democratic process that is taking place in other parts of the country. The important thing was when Mamata Banerjee came to power in West Bengal. Earlier, Communist Party was ruling, and she was victim of that violence. She came because she got the sympathy of the people from West Bengal, that the violence which the Communist Party were unleashing on Mamata Banerjee, and she was a street fighter. She came against that this violence of Communist Party, and now what she is doing the same thing which the Communist Party were doing with her. She is now learned that art very fast, and now she is unleashing that kind of violence. And therefore, she is going to see the road from the people of West Bengal. Second important thing is, when you talk of violence, which she is in power.
So, no. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, it's not fair to say I denounce all kind of violence, but all of the violence is Mamata Banerjee's fault. What is your party doing? You're fighting violence with violence. Why don't you take the proper route? Why don't you go to the election commission and complain about everything that's going wrong? Why don't you bring in law and order and security forces? Why don't you bring in the election commission and say, look, there is poll rigging going on here. Stop this polling right now and investigate. No, your men are out there smashing the EVM machines. How is that fair?
Tanvi, the law and order is the responsibility of the state government. Central government is trying to deploy, an election commission is trying to deploy the central forces. But the deployment of those forces, CRPF, etc., is on the state government. The way they are deploying it in the local area is highly manipulative. It's an organized violence and crime by the state government unleashed to capture power and not allow the democratic process to function very well. So if you cannot differentiate an isolated incidents of any party and the organized violence that the TMC is unleashing in West Bengal, I just have a pity on the way you are looking at it. See the violence which is being unleashed, you do not denounce that. And you are equating it with an individual case, an isolated case, which I am denouncing it.
You don't need me to sit here and denounce any kind of violence. I am not in power. I am not seeking power. I'm not even in public service in that sense. So don't seek my denouncement. Seek denouncement from your leaders and those from the other political parties. For example, my only question to you is, why is your answer to TMC's violence more violence? Why is your answer to TMC's alleged booth capturing and gundagardi and voter intimidation more intimidation and more of this kind of booth capturing and EVM machine breaking? I mean, one would assume that when you move from paper ballots to EVM machines, all of these problems would go away of booth capturing. But now you all are coming out and breaking EVM machines. And I'm going to go across to Mr. Somnath Roy also on this one. Mr. Roy.
Booth capturing will go away, but the violence cannot go away by EVM machines. The violence, they are killing our workers, they are killing, not allowing voters to go into the polling booth. That is not, EVM cannot control those things.
Okay. Now let me bring in Somnath Singh Roy and Mr. Roy. When it was the left and the TMC, okay, Mr. Agarwal, 1 minute please. Mr. Roy, when it was the left and the TMC who used to face off in West Bengal, there was a lot of violence. Now left is barely to be seen around and it's the TMC and the BJP who are facing out, and there is still a lot of violence. Do you know what's common between these two eras? It's the TMC.
नहीं, ये सिर्फ एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ। मैं सुन रहा था आप लोगों का बात, कोई बाहर में रहते हैं, बंगाल का जो सिचुएशन है इसके लिए वो दुखित है। लेकिन मैं बोल रहा हूँ, आप देखिए इलेक्शन कमीशन का जितना आदमी को शोकस किया, जितना कैंडिडेट का शोकस किया, सब बीजेपी का है। कभी बाबुल सुप्रियो, कभी लॉकेट चट्टोपाध्याय, कभी दिलीप घोष, कभी सायंतन बोस, जितना शोकस हुआ इलेक्शन कमीशन ने किया, सब उन लोगों का। आप लोग बोल रहा था 7 सीट में सिर्फ आरामबाग छोड़कर बाकी 6 सीट में तृणमूल फाइट में है। मैं बोल रहा हूँ फाइट का बात नहीं आई है। ये लॉकेट चट्टोपाध्याय आज जो किया है, आप देखिए, आपका पास है तो रिकॉर्ड देख लीजिए। 2016 विधानसभा इलेक्शन रूपा गांगुली सेम ऐसे सेम थिंग्स किया था, एकदम जैसे लॉकेट चट्टोपाध्याय किया, रूपा गांगुली भी ऐसा ही किया था 2016 विधानसभा इलेक्शन। एक्चुअली लॉकेट चट्टोपाध्याय देखा रूपा गांगुली ऐसे करके अगर वो राज्यसभा का मेंबर हो सकते हैं तो मैं क्यों नहीं। तो लॉकेट चट्टोपाध्याय और सिर्फ ये रूपा जो है रूपा गांगुली की फॉलो कर रहे हैं। अर्जुन सिंह 2 दिन से बोल रहा था वो नया स्कीम निकालते हैं इस इलेक्शन से पहले, कोई भी इलेक्शन पहले इलेक्शन जैसे नहीं होते हैं। आज देखिए अर्जुन सिंह क्या किया, जाके वहां पर फूल बेचने वाले एक औरत को भी मारा उन लोगों ने। फिर भी बोल रहा है जो तृणमूल कांग्रेस यहाँ पर वायलेंस कर रहा है। 9000 से ज्यादा सीट में आज इलेक्शन हुआ। 7-8 अर्जुन सिंह 7-8 में प्रॉब्लम है,
ये क्रूड बॉम्ब्स कहां से आ रहा है? सिर्फ ये नहीं, सोमनाथ रॉय जी जो बाहर बैठे हैं, आप उनपे जाइब कर रहे हैं कि हमें बंगाल का कुछ नहीं मालूम। आप मुझे बताइए ना, ये क्रूड बॉम्ब्स कहाँ से आ रहा है? किसकी पुलिस है स्टेट में? किसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है लॉ एंड ऑर्डर वेस्ट बंगाल में? हर थोड़े दिन में क्रूड बॉम्ब क्यों हर जगह से रिपोर्ट आती है कि क्रूड बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हुआ, क्रूड बॉम्ब फेंक दिया। हर थोड़े दिन में क्यों बर्दवान से न्यूज आती है कि वहाँ छोटा छोटा कमरा में लोग बैठ के क्रूड बॉम्ब बनाते बनाते ब्लास्ट हो गया, वो खुद ही मर गए। ये किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है? ये बीजेपी की गलती है।
ठीक है मैडम, मैं बता रहा हूं ना, नहीं बीजेपी की गलती नहीं है। आप लोग ने बताया था कि ये अभी स्टेट पुलिस का हाथ में नहीं है, ये है निर्वाचन कमीशन, इलेक्शन कमीशन का हाथ में अभी प्रशासन है। आपको पहले ये सोचना बंद कीजिए, अभी भी स्टेट पुलिस का अंडर में वेस्ट बंगाल है। दूसरा बात, वो क्रूड बम तृणमूल ने फेंका डेफिनेटली, और ये तो हमको बोलने दीजिए। आपने ऐसे कैसे कंफर्म कर दिए वो क्रूड बम ने बीजेपी तृणमूल ने फेंका? कैसे नहीं बोल रहा है वो बीजेपी ने फेंक रहा है वो क्रूड बम? और ऐसे इशू बनाने के लिए नेशनल चैनल में दिखाएंगे बंगाल का हालत खराब है। क्यों अभी भी कंफर्म है क्या? आप बोल सकते हो क्रूड बम तृणमूल कांग्रेस ने फेंका?
मैंने ये बोला ही नहीं कि क्रूड बॉम्ब टीएमसी ने फेंका या बीजेपी ने फेंका। मैंने आपसे ये पूछा कि वेस्ट बंगाल में जहां ममता बनर्जी की गवर्नमेंट है, जहां पुलिस जो है स्टेट पुलिस ममता बनर्जी के अंडर आती है, जहां पुलिस कमिश्नर कोलकाता का ममता बनर्जी का साथ देते हैं, उनकी निगरानी में अंडर देयर governance, how is it that crude bombs are so easily available?
मैं फिर भी बोल रहा हूँ आपको, मैडम बच्चे जैसे बात हो रहा है।
No, I want to move on to the other aspect. Violence is one aspect. The other aspect. 1 minute, Mr. Roy. 1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Roy. Violence is one aspect. I want to bring out another aspect which I think is extremely unacceptable, and it's the verbal discourse as well. And I want to highlight this to you because from both sides, the kind of comments that are being made today, you know, the accusation by Prime Minister Modi was that Mamata Banerjee won't even speak to him. And he said, my calls to Mamata went unanswered when I tried to get through her, and I called her twice because I wanted to ask if everything was okay in the aftermath of Cyclone Foni and if the state government needed any help. And he said, Speedbreaker Didi tried to play politics on Cyclone. Can you imagine? It has come down to this, that politics are now being played, that enmity between two political parties is coming in the way of help for the citizens of this country. There's one more comment that Prime Minister Modi made before I show you. On the other side, what Mamata Banerjee said, he said, her arrogance is such that she refuses to even talk to me. Mamata Banerjee, who has been on a tirade against Prime Minister Modi, has gone to the extent of saying he is not my Prime Minister and that he is a Hitler. Hit back again today. And she said that I was so busy that I didn't even get these calls. When I went to meet him earlier during the time of floods, I could not meet him. So she turned around and said, oh, but when we actually needed your help, you were not there. Where was Prime Minister when people in Bengal were in trouble? This is the kind of back and forth which is happening. And in both cases, instances that are being cited by both of them are about people issues, are about you, about offering help to citizens and voters of this country. But how does that matter to our politicians who are just out to do politics? So I want to ask this question now. Go back to Mr. Gopal Agarwal and ask Mr. Agarwal, why play politics over tragedies, over big disasters that are taking place in our country? Do you think it's right, the kind of commentary that's coming from both sides?
No, but the Prime Minister is telling that I wanted to help. He has appreciated now Odisha, CM. Odisha is also an opposition ruled state. BJD, the Prime Minister has appreciated, World Bank has appreciated, United Nations has appreciated the way the cyclone was handled in Odisha. Central government helped him, state government also worked. At this time of crisis, the state and central government should decide who is the Prime Minister, who is the President. But what happened in झूठ कैसे बोल रहा है? Prime Minister कह रहे हैं कि मैंने
आप झूठ
फोन
बोल
किया
रहे हैं,
था,
आप
तो आप
झूठ
ममता बनर्जी के साथ
आप
उन्हें
झूठ बोल
कैसे
रहे
इक्वेट कर
हैं।
सकते हो?
आपको मैं बता रहा हूं, मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, नहीं नहीं
उन्होंने
नहीं
फोन नहीं
ममता
उठाया।
बनर्जी ने डायरेक्टली बोला ये कोई फोन नहीं किया था, ऐसे फोन नहीं किया था। आपने झूठ बोले, नहीं फोन कैसे उठाएंगे, फोन किया ही नहीं तो कैसे उठाएंगे फोन, फोन तो किया
क्या
ही नहीं।
बात है,
गवर्नमेंट
अभी
तो
ममता
डायरेक्टली बोले
बनर्जी ने
नहीं फोन
खुद
किया
कहा है।
था। सिर्फ ये नहीं, कोलाई कुंडू जहां पर आप
क्या बात कर रहे हो? झूठ,
इलेक्शन मीटिंग में
कॉल रिकॉर्ड देख लो।
अभी ममता बनर्जी ने बोला है, मैं बता रहा हूं, आप कोलाई कुंडू में जहां पर मैं नहीं मेरा बात सुनिए। कोलाई कुंडू
You know, I just want to point out this exact part, Mr. Roy, and to Gopal Agarwal. This is unfortunate that now you're standing here and saying either the chief minister of one state in our country is lying or the prime minister is lying. Those are the kind of allegations, and I think it is completely unacceptable that the kind of statements Mamata Banerjee makes against our prime minister when she calls him Hitler, when she says we will give him rasgulla from Bengal, we will make sweets from soil and put pebbles in it. Similarly, like cashew nuts and almonds and raisins are used in laddu, but these will break teeth. The less we talk about this man, the better it is. Madi Babu is a master of corruption. He's master of arrogance, and he's a shame for this country. I think it's absolutely deploring that this kind of commentary is taking place in our country today, and that chief ministers and prime minister are making these kind of comments. Thank you to our panelists who've joined us on this debate. This is the first part of this conversation. From West Bengal, we now move to Uttar Pradesh. And in Uttar Pradesh today, apart from Lucknow and Faizabad, that includes Ayodhya, two of the Gandhi bastions went to polls. Rai Bareli and, of course, Rahul Gandhi from Amethi. And through the day, Smriti Irani was on a relentless attack. She just moved from one place to the other across villages and polling booths in Amethi. And everywhere she went, she had a new charge, she had a new allegation against Rahul Gandhi. But I just want to point out three comments that have been made in the run-up to the polling today, which I thought perhaps were not necessary. Maybe there was some substance in one of the claims that Smriti Irani made. But let's pull up those comments for you. And the first one is actually the one that shocked many people in this country. And many have actually come out and said that it is unacceptable that we make such comments about a person who's no more, about a former prime minister of our country who isn't even alive anymore. This is what Prime Minister Modi said when he attacked Rajiv Gandhi, that he said he was Bhrashtachari #1. Corrupt #1 when he was killed. That was the comment that was made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on just 2 days ago. He didn't stop there. After the outrage, after Rahul Gandhi responded saying, well, that's how you think and that's how you want to play politics, but I won't do that. I'm sending you more hugs, Modi ji. Then Mr. Modi today turned around and made another comment, and he said that perhaps the Congress party wants to come and fight them out in the national capital in Delhi that goes to poll next and fight to shield and protect the honor of Rajiv Gandhi. And I'm not too sure, but I'm going to ask some of our panelists what they thought about these comments being made. The next one, of course, is from Smriti Irani, and like I said, she made some interesting charges today. So we're going to put up some of those comments that Smriti Irani made, and she said that a man died because of petty politics of Congress party. Now, there was a video that was doing the rounds where this man says that his kin went to the hospital, to the Sanjay Gandhi National Trust, which is where Rahul Gandhi owns a stake, and because he had an Ayushman Bharat, a central government insurance scheme card, he was denied treatment and he died. And Smriti Irani retweeted that and used that to attack Rahul Gandhi on the day of voting. And there was another one that she made after this where she retweeted a video of an elderly lady who said that she was forced inside the polling booth to press the Congress button, that the polling officer actually forced her to do that even though she wanted to vote for the BJP. The DM investigated this on the instructions of the Election Commission and found no truth in this charge. So while Smriti Irani accused Rahul Gandhi of poll rigging on the basis of that one video, there was no merit found on that allegation. So just to set this stage, now let's go across to our panelists. and of course Gopal Agarwal and Bacha Sen as well as Gautam Mukherjee continue to be with us on this conversation, and I have Dr. Dosaji of the Congress party, and I want to go back to Mr. Gopal Agarwal on that comment, and let's begin with the Prime Minister's comment. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, what is the response to what many are saying today from Congress and otherwise, that it's not right to attack and to insult the memory of a dead man?
No, it is not right. It is what is there in the issue. If you see that if you cannot talk on the facts or the history once a person is dead, that's not the way the history moves. We have to talk about what is there.
What is there?
Congress itself is talking about the current Prime Minister. They are, yes, what is the harm in it?
What is there?
His name was there in the Bofors scandal. And
was
not
he
only
convicted?
that, he has been involved. His name is there.
Was he found guilty?
His name is there in the Sikh riots.
Was he found guilty?
What is the? Where is the question?
भ्रष्टाचारी से सिख राइट्स का कोई संबंध नहीं, भ्रष्टाचारी से राइटिंग का कोई संबंध नहीं. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, was he found guilty of भ्रष्टाचार? And it is not the same as making an allegation against an alive man, because an alive man can defend himself and a dead man cannot defend himself.
Who had the connection? उनकी बात है. अभी तक they have the connections with the middleman, all defense deal. The whole family was involved into defense deal.
तो आप राहुल गांधी को बोलिए ना.
राहुल गांधी name is coming about.
तो राहुल गांधी को बोलिए ना.
तो बॉफर्स में थोड़ी राहुल गांधी थे. Bofors में राहुल गांधी थोड़ी थे.
Since Bofors no other scandal has happened, that you had to go back to Bofors and bring up the name of a man who was killed under very unfortunate circumstances, who was assassinated in our country.
No, the assassination is completely different, and he's being involved into corruption is different issues. They cannot be linked. He was involved into the anti-Sikh riots. His name is there. So in Delhi, so you will say, no, he was not involved. If Indira Gandhi's name is involved in Blue Star, it is not there. She has been involved in that kind of violence. You will not.
Okay, I like how BJP only remembers the 1984 riots, and their memory is completely, wiped out after 1984. As if after that, no riots, including those under the Yogi government, took place in our country. But okay, fine. I'm going to go across to Dr. Dasaju and ask him, Dr. Dasaju, why have our politics come to this point? Is it really necessary to make these comments every day? Is it really necessary for Rahul Gandhi to turn around and say Chaukidar chor hai every single day when there is no court conviction?
Rahul Gandhi.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, hang on a minute. Now let me go across to the Congress representative.
Can I take a second to give a rebuttal to my friend BJP? There is a saying, if you cannot convince people, you confuse people. Narendra Modi has no narrative. Thereby, he is making these absurd comments and brutal, cruel and disgraceful comments on a martyr. This is something that every Indian is condemning today, number one. Number two is, for Narendra Modi ji, politics have become marketing and branding. In 2014, he started a Chaiwala branding. In 2018, he has no narrative to talk about what has happened to his 2 crore jobs, to talk about how he has addressed the agrarian distress, to talk about how Skill India has been failed, how Startup India is failed, how Make in India is failed. These things are not the discussion points. For him now, he suddenly comes up with a brand called Chaukidar, and under the image of the Chaukidar, he wants to cover up his corruption. That's where probably Rahul Gandhi ji has exposed him by saying that Chaukidar, you are saying that you are a Chaukidar, but Chaukidar turned out to be a chore. But in this context, in the year 2014 itself, 2004,
Chaukidar has not turned out to be a chore. No, let me also. Chaukidar has not turned out to be a chore right now. Where? Which court has said this? Is Rahul Gandhi the Chief Justice of this country now?
If he is open for a appropriate investigation by the Supreme Court.
Let the Supreme Court decide. You have already gone to the Supreme Court. Rahul Gandhi has been pulled to Supreme Court over a contempt case now. So what are you saying? Why are you still harping about that?
No, Rahul Gandhi ji is not apologetic about saying Chaukidar chor hai. He only said, my apologies to Supreme Court, that I told Supreme
but
Court
he want
is
to
confirmed,
want Prime Minister to
Narendra Modi is a
apologize.
Chaukidar. I didn't
Okay,
get you.
let me go across to our other two
And
panelists.
he
Mr.
wanted the
Badsha
Prime
Sen,
Minister to
does this
apologize.
argument work? Mr. Badsha Sen, does this argument work that because Rahul Gandhi on a daily basis says Chaukidar chor hai for the Prime Minister, it's all right for the Prime Minister to turn around and say, well, Bhrashtachari number one kaun tha?
Tanvi, I mean, I started off journalism in this city in Bombay, and I was in Times of India, and I did crime reporting. And when you did crime reporting, you had to use at least, when some criminal or alleged criminal, you had to use the word alleged, so-and-so allegedly did this or that or the other. Now, I find that our lawmakers, our politicians, just don't use the word alleged. For instance, I do not recall that Rajiv Gandhi was ever convicted of anything to do with Bofors. So far, I don't know, unless Mr. Agarwal has some proof which we don't know about. So I don't think that Rajiv Gandhi was, to call him
How
Bhrashtachari.
Katrochi left the country?
What? Who? I am not talking about Katrochi. I am talking about Rajiv Gandhi. No. Has a court of law found Rajiv Gandhi?
Related.
1 minute. Has a court of law found Rajiv Gandhi?
Related.
1 minute. I am not a politician. You hear me out.
Everything.
You hear me out.
Let him finish.
I am not a
please.
politician. You fight among yourselves. All right? And I am trying to ask you one question. Answer that. Has Rajiv Gandhi been found guilty by any court? Now I am going to the other side. Has Narendra Modi been found? 1 minute.
How Mr. Katrochi was allowed to flee?
Who's Katrochi? I don't recognize Katrochi. Katrochi is some foreigner. Rajiv Gandhi, I am asking.
You may not.
No. So Rajiv
You
Gandhi,
may not.
I am asking you, did Prime Minister Modi, now 1 minute, did Prime Minister Modi say that Katrochi was Bhrashtachari number one? He didn't. He said Rajiv Gandhi. Now there's a difference between
Rajiv Gandhi.
What? So has
Katrochi
Rajiv
is
Gandhi
just
been
a
found guilty?
pawn in his hand.
Has Rajiv Gandhi been found guilty? Please
Rajiv
tell me.
Gandhi,
1 minute. And I'm going to ask the same question.
In the Sikh riots.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, now you're going again and again, over and over, you're repeating
I was there
it.
during the Sikh riots.
Let Mr. Badsha Sen finish his point.
I was there during the Sikh riots. Rajiv Gandhi arrived in Delhi from Shantiniketan and West Bengal long after the riots had begun. I don't think you were even born then. All right? Now I'm saying I was there in front of All India Institute of Medical Science when those riots began. Rajiv Gandhi had not arrived. All right? Now I'll go back to the Congress. They are accusing Prime Minister Modi of being a chore, this, that, the other. Now, where is the proof? Has some court case been filed? Is the court come to any understanding? What I'm saying is deplorable is on both sides of this political divide. You're accusing each other of chore. Then how do you expect us to respect you? No, why should we respect you? Because you are not respecting each other. All right, neither of you respect each other. So why should I give you my respect? And at least use the word alleged, suspect, something or the other.
Right.
Be civilized. Otherwise, you will lose the respect of all of us. And you can go on ruling yourselves. You will not be ruling us. That's all I have to say.
Right. Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, weigh in on this one. Do you think perhaps it's all fair when it comes to, election season and political season? Or should there be lines to be drawn? Should perhaps the Election Commission otherwise step in? Go ahead.
Politics is a game of perception. And at election time, this sort of thing becomes heightened. If you see how Rajiv Gandhi, who won the biggest mandate ever, was brought down, it might, in a very funny way have inspired Rahul Gandhi, because the nara at the time was "Gali gali mein shor hai," etc. Now that, and this man starts this Chaukidar chor hai, and he does it again and again without any proof, like Mr. Sen said. And after all of that, our man decides to hit him below the belt and talk about his father. It's all fair in love and war, and that's what's going on. And none of it would stand up if you were trying to be civilized. As you said, you're meant to say alleged, suspect, something to sort of, civilize the argument. But that's not what this is about. This is about flinging as much mud as possible. Both sides are doing it with gay abandon and hoping some of it will stick. It has nothing to do with propriety or legality or proof. And that's just the way it is. Perception management is... Now, what did this man, Rahul Gandhi, say in that interview to India Today, which was then not broadcast? He said, look, I am determined to shred this man's image, because he's got this image of being, a poor man who is clean and non-corrupt. Well, he is corrupt, and I'm going to try and make that stick. So this is the kind of thing that's going on. We will see a sharp come down in this after May the 23rd, till it's required again for the next rounds. After May the 23rd, there'll be all smiles when they're in Parliament, all of these guys.
Unless, of course, when they're facing off inside the parliament again, and then they forget all boundaries again.
Exactly.
And unparliamentary
Then it
language
comes back
is
up.
right there. Dr. Sravan, go ahead. You wanted to say something.
Yeah. Comparing, here is a case where Narendra Modi makes such kind of an accusation on a person who lost his life in the service of the nation. And Rahul Gandhi, in order to amplify the kind of corruption that has happened in Rafale, I don't know, many people are saying there is no proof. But I think Hindu paper has published so many proofs, but Narendra Modi never opens his mouth about it. 520 crore flight the aeroplane has become 1600 crore. How? How is that HAL become
Indian Express had printed many proofs against Rajiv Gandhi.
One by one, please, gentlemen.
How is that Anil Ambani goes along with Narendra Modi and gets the contract, and how is that France Prime Minister has to say that?
So all of these are still questions. All of these are just still questions, Dr. Shravan. This cannot lead you to any kind of conclusion, because Rahul Gandhi is not the Chief Justice of this country.
One point. Tanvi, one point. It's a very deliberate ploy of Narendra Modi ji to raise this issue of Rajiv Gandhi, to divert the attention of the people from his failure of development, from his indulgence in corruption. Now today we should have spoken about what is the progress card report of Narendra Modi after 5 years. How many jobs he has created? How many farmers he rescued? How many companies have been brought in with the name of the Make in India? How many lakhs of people have been trained under the Skill India? No, we are not talking. We are talking about nationalism, we are talking about security, we are talking about Rajiv Gandhi. This is what a ploy, a conspiracy of Narendra Modi and BJP.
Response from Gopal Agarwal. Yes, go ahead, please.
Tanvi, if the Rahul Gandhi was interested in the development of the nation, for the welfare of the people, he would have asked those very questions, and we would have been very happy to answer each and every question which Rahul Gandhi raised in the interest of the people. But he completely ignored and came on a narration and manufactured lies one after another. And when Mr. Spokesperson from Congress says that Hindu has the proof printed against Rafale, so many proofs were printed in Indian Express against Rahul Gandhi. What is there? The issue is very clear that this manufactured lies of Rahul Gandhi were not right. And he was just hitting on the
so tell me this.
Under the dark umbrella, whatever he wants. But
so your fight is with Rahul Gandhi.
That it is
so your fight is with Rahul Gandhi.
The whole family.
And like your party claims repeatedly that it's
Gandhi to Sonia Gandhi.
Mr. Agarwal, let me ask my question.
Many people are in bail.
Correct. So let me ask you this question. Like you're saying, so many of them are on bail. There are a series of cases and corruption charges. You have Sonia Gandhi to attack and allegations to make, like Rahul keeps saying, Chaukidar Chore. You can target Robert Vadra. You can target Rahul Gandhi. Why stoop to the level of going to and attacking somebody and abusing or name calling somebody who's not even alive anymore to answer you
this
back?
Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi and Robert Vadera are on bail. The court has asked them to confiscate
can you hear me, Mr. Agarwal?
return to the public.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, is my audio going to you?
About it?
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, can you hear me? Are you able to hear me, Mr. Gopal? I don't know.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so then did you hear my question?
Yes, I am able to hear you.
So did you get my question?
I understand your question.
So
I am answering that.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. You listen to what I have to say. I am saying Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Robert Vadera are already on bail. Everything is proved. They have been asked by the High Court to refund the National Herald 5,000 crore property to the exchequer, to the public.
Okay.
Return that. So what is there to prove against them?
Where is
everything is in the public domain. Wait.
Question is about Rajiv Gandhi.
Today, Anil Ambani said that they gave me, Congress, UPA gave me 1 lakh crore contract.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, there is a terror accused in this country who is out on bail right now, who's on trial. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, not only just corruption, there is a terror accused in this country out on bail representing you in the city of Bhopal.
I'm asking one question.
So now what should we assume?
One thing is
even though she is on bail, is she a terrorist? Is she guilty of terrorism?
From allocating 1 lakh crore contract to Anil Ambani. He is himself admitting that the UP has given me 1 lakh crore contracts. How much commission they got? Tell us. I'm asking Rahul Gandhi. How much commission did you get?
I'm going around in circles. I ask him one thing and Mr. Gopal Agarwal, you start talking about something else. Then I ask you about that topic and then you go to a third topic. I know it's a BJP thing to shift goalposts, but my question one more time to you, Mr. Gopal Agarwal, why bring in Rajiv Gandhi? You have so many things that you've just listed out to me that you can attack the Gandhi family on. Those who are alive and can respond to you, those who can face the court, those who can face trial. Why target the man who is no more, who was never pronounced guilty by any court in India?
Because it is the part of history that the Rajiv Gandhi is Bhrashtachari #1. He lost the elections in the public mandate because he was involved in Bofors scam. And therefore, from 485, he lost the elections in 5 years. The way things happened at that point of time showed that he was involved. The Bofors scandal took place at the highest level.
Right, but for some reason, despite all your conviction, nobody could ever prove it in the courts, unfortunately. Okay, I get your point, Mr. Gopal Agarwal. Very quickly, I just want to go back to Mr. Bacha Sen on this. Mr. Sen, is this also reflective of perhaps, you know, we are approaching the end of this election. There's a little bit of desperation also. All parties want to ensure that they've gone all out and did whatever they can. And so we are looking at this kind of a discourse?
I still don't understand why, you know, the elections of this nature are held in various parts of the world, first past the post. They've been held in India for 70 years, I mean, and you've not seen this kind of stuff. So it's not just desperation that we are rushing to the finishing line, and if you are rushing to the finishing line, then focus on crossing that finishing line instead of turning around and attacking various people. I don't think that this is the kind of discourse I'm used to, at least I have been used to. I mean, the worst election that you could have possibly had would have been 1977 at one level, when Indira Gandhi had lifted the emergency. This sort of rubbish never took place at that stage. Nobody abused anyone. Nobody yelled at Indira Gandhi, nor did she yell at anyone. And mind you, there were tall and stalwart leaders who had been shoved into jail. They didn't come out of jail shouting and yelling. They did not accuse her. I'm talking about India. Forget about the rest of the world. This sort of discourse, whether you attack a dead man, you say all sorts of things, calling people, this sort of discourse is disgusting, and we've not had this until recently, you know.
Or any prime minister, current
Yes.
or former prime minister, I think it's not right at all. Like it is not right for even Mamata Banerjee or Rahul Gandhi to repeatedly name call a sitting prime minister of this country. If you're out campaigning and you're taking on a rival, it's fine. But in your daily discourse, if you start
Tanvi.
doing that, I'm sorry, I'm completely out of time, so I will have to thank my panelists at this point of time. But I don't think it is necessary for any of our politicians to stoop down to this level. Raise the discourse of politics. Raise the discourse of election. Sure, we've come a long way from the kind of ugly violence in a huge number of deaths and casualties and murders and people being hung from the trees used to be witnessed in West Bengal every time elections were held. But that still doesn't mean that even in today's date, EVM machines should be broken, crude bombs should be hurled. Similarly, sure, we've come a long way from the kind of bitter rivalry that some political parties saw earlier, but that doesn't mean that we sit here and name-call each other and abuse and insult the memory of those who aren't even with us anymore. That's not fair, and that's not required. Talk about your work, talk about the failures of your rivals, talk about your vision for this country, and ask for our vote only and only on that basis. Thank you so much for joining us.